Take your time, Linda. It's been a day and a half already.
Very good.
Should we hold off to that? Yeah.
Because they're not here yet. I don't see Scott.
All right. So we'll. Okay, I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. And I would, before I do courtesy, I'd like to make a suggestion that we move the taxable bonds thing to the end of the meeting to give people a chance to get here. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll skip 2 for the time being. Courtesy of the floor is the first thing anyone here to speak on behalf of the courtesy of the floor. Seeing no one, we'll go to the review of a donation to Gracedale request. We have someone representing Mr. Parsons, you don't want to request the donation? No? Okay. I'll read the resolution. It is a resolution for the Northampton County Charter, Section 202, that provides that the county council shall have, among others, the following powers to accept on behalf of the county gifts or real property and to provide for the acceptance by any agency on behalf of the county of gifts. Whereas the Friends of Gracedale Foundation's mission statement to develop a Gracedale community involvement through fundraising efforts that promote and finance innovative programs that will supplement and enhance the quality of life, provide Gracedale residents extended care. It is therefore be it resolved that the Northampton County Council does hereby authorize the county executive to accept on behalf of Gracedale the donation of $2,000 to be used by the volunteer office of Gracedale for holiday gifts for the residents. Any questions?
Motion to recommend approval to full council.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. A review of second item, review of calendar year 2020 court costs increased. Okay, anyone to speak on behalf of this, or shall we just courts? Becky? No? Come on up. Okay. Just a statement so we know what's
Yeah, basically,
your name and.
yeah, my name is Badway Bolus. I'm representing the court administration.
Yes.
So basically, the state every year reviews the fees charged, and based on the consumer price index, they adjust the fees accordingly.
Yes.
So there's a 1.9% increase for January 1st, 2020.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the council that's here? Telephoning in, anyone? Okay. Thank you for that information.
Okay.
So now for there be resolved that any other fee schedule inconsistent herewith is therefore repealed insofar as the same affects the attached fee schedule. And this has to do with the October 11th order was issued authorizing court cost increases to take effect on January 1st of 2020. So be it. Any questions? Or no?
Motion to recommend approval to full council.
Second.
Thank you very much. Okay. Third, a review of General Purpose Authority Lehigh Valley Network Incorporated project. Okay, Mark. Mr. Hartney would like to approach.
Good evening. Mark Hartney, Northampton County Department of Community and Economic Development. In your packet is a health safety and welfare resolution for your consideration for a Lehigh Valley Health Network bond issuance. This is typically done through the Community and Economic Development Committee, but for some timing concerns to accommodate Lehigh Valley Health Network, we're asking Finance Committee to consider this and recommend this to the full council. This is a large issuance and multi-county issuance. The issuance is actually being done by the Lehigh County General Purpose Authority. But because a significant portion of the project is going to be in Northampton County, the health, safety, and welfare resolution is required by county council. We are working on a fee sharing agreement with the Lehigh County General Purpose Authority to share fees for the portion of the project that's going to be in Northampton County. I have John Brobsky from Lehigh Valley Health Network to describe the project in more detail, if you like.
Absolutely.
Chairman, can I ask?
Absolutely, Mr. Heckman.
You said Lehigh Planning Commission.
Lehigh County General Purpose
General
Authority.
Purpose Authority. I guess the question I have is, when you said that, why wouldn't this also then work through our general purpose? Why are we as a county council being hooked up with them?
So when you do debt issuances like this, they could be run through any qualified municipal authority.
They could be run through
They
the
could
general
be.
purpose authority.
Yeah.
In this particular case, there are portions of this project in, I believe, Carbon, Lehigh, and Northampton. It's easier, because it's one financing, it's easier to just do it through one authority. And we're working out a fee-sharing agreement with the Lehigh County General Purpose Authority for the portion of the project that's in Northampton County.
So the other counties involved, other than Lehigh, they're going to do it as counties. Do they have planning commissions, general purpose
I don't know.
authorities? So we don't know if we'll be the only county doing it as opposed to a group of general purpose authorities. Well, if Monroe County has a GPA, we don't know if the county will do that part will do the county or they'll go through the GPA.
Any portion of the project that,
I just,
So, the General Purpose Authority,
I'm just trying to understand.
right, the General Purpose Authority can be the issuer of the debt, right? So you know that. But ultimately, for the County of Northampton, County Council must bless the particular agreement.
Okay, that's it.
And you don't have to,
Right.
right? But you would be declaring that you believe, as a governing body in Northampton County, that the issuance isn't in the public interest. And it's very difficult for me to see how we could conclude that building a hospital in Lower Nazareth Township is not in the interest of our public.
And you know what, and it's just a matter of understanding procedure. So
Yeah,
getting hung up on procedure.
right.
Why this would not go through our general purpose authority as opposed to Lehigh County going through it, and, because we do send things.
Because only the governing body of the county can declare it to be in the public interest under TEF.
All right.
The General Purpose Authority doesn't have that power.
Okay, all right. That's my question.
End of, go ahead. Who's that?
Tara.
Tara?
So if the county council is the governing body, would the implementation then go through the GPA and we just need to say whether or not it's a go, like vote for it?
No, it's going to be run through the Lehigh County General Purpose Authority, Councilwoman. But because such a large percentage of it is in, the projects will be in Northampton County, we have to, under TEFRA, approve the issuance. We have to declare it in the public interest for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. You could
Okay,
conclude
great.
it's not, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Tara, any
Okay,
further
thank you.
questions? Anyone else?
questions?
Anyone else? John?
Yeah, Mark, I think, I hear what you're saying about there being a potential agreement, but nowhere in this resolution is that indicated. Yeah, does it qualify as a health and what? Certainly, that's not the issue. I think the issue here is you're telling us is that this may or may not happen. You're working on it, but you want us to vote on it, today and tomorrow. I'm not comfortable with voting for this without some sort of indication as to what those numbers would be as part of this resolution. So,
So what I can, or what the agreement that we are working with Lehigh County General Purpose Authority, I'm going to throw some general numbers out there. Don't hold me to that. So for the entire financing, the fees have been capped at $250,000. The Northampton County portion of the project is expected to be about $138 million.
okay.
The
So-
overall financing is going to be in the neighborhood of $600 million. So we would get the percentage, whatever, 120, like roughly a third of the costs are being incurred in Northampton County, we would receive a third of that fee.
Okay. Again, I guess my concern is that that's not indicated anywhere in this resolution. And, you know, Mr. McClure and I have been through these battles for a long time where we get promises from these organizations when we do business with Lehigh County, and we always seem to wind up on the short end of the stick. So I think what I would like to see is some sort of mention as part of this resolution that's what's going to take place. I don't see it in here, and I wish it were included.
I would defer to legal counsel on this, but that is really a separate issue from whether or not Lehigh County is under no obligation to do the fee sharing with us. We have agreed, and I wish I had the agreement in place before this, but timing-wise, that wasn't going to work out. But as far as approving the health, safety, and welfare resolution, that's the question you're being asked, is whether or not this is in the health, safety, and welfare of the county. It has nothing to do with the fee sharing agreement. Now, I can tell you that Lehigh County approved this health, safety, and welfare resolution, was it this week or last week? Last week, and they were told that the $250,000 fee that will be collected will be shared with Northampton County, their commissioners.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Lord.
Does passing this resolution obligate this body or the county in its budget to expend any money?
No, it says, I was going to get to that, and go ahead, Mr. Eckler
Just a
first.
quick question, a follow-up. Why, if this has to be passed now, right? It's a time factor. Why are we getting this right now? I mean, this happens. I know there are times when there's no choice, but we seem to get more and more things over years where it's like, oh my God, we just found out, you got to pass it. I mean, if Lehigh County had it, why didn't we have it earlier?
We just found out about the deal 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and have been working to get this set up and organized.
We had hoped to be able to bring the entire package forward to you, including the fee sharing arrangement with the Lehigh County General Purpose Authority. But at the end of the day, the public interest is served by allowing Lehigh Valley to move forward with their project, and as Mr. Hartney rightly points out, the fee sharing agreement is a side issue.
Well, no, I hear you. I mean, when we had the 911 wars, a lot of stuff was brought to us that was in the public interest if you don't do this and that. And I think we all are aware of public interest. We want to do what's right. But we also want to try and understand procedures and why things are done the way they're done.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I don't think anybody's
that's
questioning
your
that this is a good idea.
That's your explanation. Your explanation is we wanted to have time to bring the whole thing forward to you, including the fee sharing agreement, but we ran out of time.
All right. Okay, I'm done.
I understand the gun shyness of unfunded things, unfunded mandates, okay, I hear that feeling. What it does say, it's a $650 million cap. It won't go higher than $650 million, and it is for a 120,000 square foot Lehigh Valley Hospital facility. It does say the approval of this project shall not obligate the taxing authority of this county its funds in any way. Okay, what is the extent of that statement? Is that total? Does that answer?
This is not any different
Okay.
than any
Oh,
other
no.
financing
get it.
that is run through the Northampton
So this
County
is
General
just
Purpose
an
Authority.
this is just an approval, we're not doing anything else, okay.
We're just saying that we agree that this is a health and safety necessity, and then the GPA will determine whether they're going to agree to the terms of the agreement, correct?
Yes.
And then it will come back to this council? No? Or
No,
not
it's a
necessary?
GPA
This is it.
financing issue.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be between the GPAs.
okay. Any further questions?
No, just a
For anybody?
comment is I would support this because it's what the GPA was originally designed to do, not some other kinds of messes that we've gotten
Well, it
ourselves
also
into.
has a lot to do with Northampton County. It really
Well, we
does.
could
so.
use a hospital here.
And Mr. Cusick's right about the bi-county relationships. No one has been a stronger advocate for equity and fairness in bi-county relationships than I have. But I would point out our relationship with Lehigh Valley Hospital is a very good one in that they are the largest referral source to Gracedale.
No further questions?
No, I'm fine.
Mr.
Motion
Hartney?
to move.
Would you like John to come up and talk about the project?
I don't know if there's any questions.
There's no further questions,
to
but
you,
do you
Mr.
want us,
Chairman.
it's up to the,
I'm ready to
Okay,
move
let's-
forward if you want.
okay. No, not necessary, apparently. Okay, thank you.
Do you
Okay,
have a question?
no.
My only question, because this is a different night, do you need Lehigh Valley Health Network to be here for when council votes on it?
It would, yeah,
On Thursday
I would
night.
recommend that, since
Considering this
it's a
happened.
bi-county
Okay.
program, yeah.
Okay,
It's up to you. Yeah,
okay, we'll be there.
thank you, Mark.
Motion to move forward to full council.
Thank you.
I would second, and I would just urge the general purpose authorities to work this out in a timely manner.
You can ask her, she's right next to her.
I'll
Okay,
be happy to take care of that for you, Mr.
Okay.
Gleason,
I'm sorry.
in any
I
way
needed
that
to
I
laugh
can
a little today.
or cannot.
Okay, next, review of Article 13, contract, Wind Gap Electric Contractors and General Construction. Mr. Amelia, is that you, and do you have anyone with you?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Good afternoon. As you know, we've been trying, we put the project out to bid twice for the general construction and electrical work to construct a surface parking lot off of Wolf Avenue and the location of the previous Miletus building, which has since been demolished. Based on the two unsuccessful bid attempts, we then solicited proposals for both the GC and electrical contracts. I'm recommending today that we move forward with awarding the general site work contract to Bean Incorporated and the electrical contract to Wind Gap Electric. And I do have representatives from both companies here this afternoon. I have Kevin Chrisman from Bean, as well as Alan Schaefer from Wind Gap Electric, and they'd be more than happy to answer any questions about their companies or the project in general.
Can they approach, please?
Sure.
Thank you. State your name, please, for the record.
Kevin Chrisman with Bean Incorporated.
Okay. Alan?
Alan Schaefer, Wind Gap Electric.
Okay. Any information you'd like to pass on? Any questions from the council to these two gentlemen regarding the Wind Gap Electric and Bean Incorporated contracting for Miletus? Go ahead, John.
Just what I always ask. What are your plans to get this project done on time and under budget?
You should have a button and just press it.
Should have known that.
Like this.
Are you an honest and sincere?
As you probably know, Wind Gap Electric does a lot of work for the county.
Yeah, we're very familiar with your
We,
work.
we definitely move at a fast pace for the county. This is, for us, is a project that we do quite often, so we can move forward very fast. And I see no problems with the way the drawings were done. The only question I do have is, moving forward, how soon we're gonna move forward. So I can, what I have to order may take a couple weeks, so the sooner that we can move forward, I can get things ordered, because it looks like things are moving pretty quick over there. I haven't been down here and I saw the building's gone, so it's usually my parking spot. So today I'm down below, but yeah, I mean, this is something we do all the time. We'll move.
Yeah. And can you explain how the two of you will work together?
Obviously, we're gonna follow his lead, so
Okay.
I believe the way that it's scheduled to do is we're gonna start on one end and move our way through. As far as I see it, the excavation may steer that a different way. I'll let him answer that, but as far as the electrical goes, we more or less will follow him. Obviously, we will keep up with him, so we don't have trenches open and we don't have stuff all over the place. So we'll follow his lead and we'll go from there, but I'll let him answer that question.
As we always do, we'll just coordinate with the electrical contractor, be in touch. I've worked with them directly before, so it's not a big deal. We do have some prelim wait time to get the pressure grouting company on board. That should be the only delay where we'd be ready to go ourselves after that schedule.
Do you anticipate any challenges given the site, the slope, and
The pressure grouting is kind of, it's not a definite, it's still part of it's unknown until we get in there and see what kind of conditions are actually out there. That's the biggest challenge. Other than that, it's just a parking lot job.
Okay.
You've been at the site, you've looked at it, you're pretty much ready to go? Okay. I have no questions. I don't think anyone else. I think we can move it forward, okay?
Yep.
Thank you for, and say hi to Scomp for me, will you? Okay.
I'll make a motion to recommend to full council and.
Thank you. I'll second. Okay. This has been a tough day on people. Apologize for Lori had to leave for a moment. Yes. Okay. Review of controllers report. Community corrections, or did I forget
About
something? No,
corporate
corporate environments. I'm
environments.
sorry. Corporate environments. Is someone to speak in behalf of corporate environments? Should we take a recess for a few minutes?
No.
Are we okay?
Good. Just go ahead.
All right.
Is that corner? Zach?
Anybody? Zach's not here? No one? Mr. Dertinger, would you like to speak on this?
This was part of the bond estimate that we had put forth. This has gone back and forth several different times to match in exactly what we needed in the facility in several areas. On the original bid, there were several things that were added that we won't need moving forward. As a perfect example, Zach would like to keep his present desk, so he's not getting any furniture. So if later on he complains to you guys about that, he
I'll keep it
chose
in
to,
mind.
he wanted that, to keep that out there. So those are some of the things we had maneuvered back and forth. There was a, on the initial bid, they had the furniture or the partitions altogether too low for architectural reasons, but obviously where a lot of these cases do require evidence and so on to be in people's desks, we wanted that to be much more private than otherwise was there. And this is a state contract, so we are very fortunate in as much as with all the back and forth, the numbers still stayed exactly as they are in the state contract.
Okay. Any comments?
I just want to say, Mr. President, Ms. Hefner's father passed away,
Just
and that's why she has to leave. And so I just wanted to, that was what happened. I wanted to be aware. He was very ill.
Sorry about that.
I don't have any questions on these contracts at all.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dertinger. Any?
The only thing was there a follow-up? He asked about how soon the electric. Did anybody ask Mr. Amelia, or did you answer? I missed it.
The electrical contractor on the Miletus will follow along once the site is prepared and ready for trenching, so that the lighting and the electric car bollard are ready to be in place.
Do you have a sense of a time frame on that, Charles?
We do not. One of the elements they spoke about was the grout curtain.
Okay.
And given that property has those issues that are, so very difficult, that's going to be a holdup element. Once that's settled, everything else will kind of fall in place.
Understood.
We'll move it forward.
Well, yeah, motion to recommend
Sure.
approval to full council.
Seconded, whatever. I don't think we need it.
Thank
but-
you, and thank you, Mr. Dertinger. Okay. Okay. Review of controllers report, community corrections, please. Take your time because, all right, it would be nice to hear some good news today.
You always like the good news.
We did agreed upon procedures audit of the Community Corrections Program to comply with the requirements of their Title 37 code for the period September 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. The first procedure was to select a sample of 25 days and determine if funds received at both community correction facilities were properly receipted, recorded, and deposited. Everything we tested out was fine. We did find that one receipt did not have an amount written on it. There were 3 receipts we were unable to locate because the receipt books were missing. 3 of the 25 receipt numbers tested were not sequential. All individual cash sheets were recalculated without exception. So that part came out fine. Second procedure was to select a sample of 25 checks issued by Community Corrections and determine whether checks to inmates and third parties were prepared correctly. Again, everything was fine. All inmates signed for their checks and disbursement amounts were verified in JMS. The supervisor signed all check signature and third-party reports we tested. With the exception of November 15th and 21st, the supervisor was on vacation and the person filling in did the reports, did the reconciliations, but did not sign off on the reports. The third procedure was to determine whether the correct deductions were being entered in JMS and were taken from the inmate's pay. Again, we reviewed 5 inmate files and confirmed the check amounts matched what was in JMS. One inmate had a deduction for domestic support. This was done through wage attachment. A copy of the court order was in the inmate's file. We conducted this agreed upon procedure engagement in accordance with generally accepted government accounting standards. That's the report on the audit.
Thank you, Mr. Zaborski. I find it interesting that the inmates' files and check amounts matched exactly as they were supposed to.
They didn't
Okay.
doctor it.
Yeah, they.
All right, I have one and some good news, if I might pass
Yes,
these out.
please.
We had our 3-year peer review. That is where, yes, that is where auditors from the outside come in and check our department. They review our work. They do an audit on us. We had 2 people came in. One was a CPA who was from the Controller's Office of Clark County, Nevada. The other one was another CPA from the Controller's Office of Cape Coral, Florida. I'm happy to say we passed our review with flying colors, with no findings and no recommendations. Basically, thanks to the hard work of our former controller, Steve Barron, and our former audit manager, Frank Kettle, and our current audit manager, Paul Albert. So that's the one that ended on some good news.
Well, congratulations
Yeah.
to your
Thank you.
whole
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
Thank you
Congratulations
for
to
your
you
work.
Thank you.
and the essence of Mr. Barron, who is apparently still over there.
When the passing of the baton was successful,
Yes, it
apparently.
was. Thank you very much. Yes, we were a little worried about it, but we passed with flying colors, and we're very happy.
Thank you
Okay,
very
very
much.
good.
Okay, anything
Thank you.
else?
No further questions. Just
76 days to go.
you keep them.
Oh,
keep
God,
counting.
you
check
guys
them
can
off.
tell each other.
Okay.
All right, okay.
I will now move for, if there's no further questions, we have one more? Oh, I'm sorry, we're going back to the taxable bonds. Are they, we're here now? Yes? I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's the big one.
PFM, okay? Things are a little out of sorts there.
So, council has before you the ordinance that was for the public offering statement. Taxable bonds, the pertinent facts of that document, or the blanks that were filled in. The borrowing capacity is 75 million. And the savings threshold that is put in there is 3%. I believe, Garrett, we talked about this morning, we're approaching 6%. We're a little better than the 5.5% right now, right? So we're at the right time to strike. That 3% was the number. Usually it's 2%, as Garrett talked about, for the taxable bond or the non-taxable bonds, and then 3% for the taxable in this case.
Okay, would you like to add anything further?
I'm really just here to answer questions, and if you care to, just give you a little bit of a status update of kind of what's transpired.
Why don't you give us the status update, and then we'll let everyone see if they have a question after you do that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So we came and spoke with you all, I believe the last time was the 3rd, which was the first reading of the borrowing ordinance or maximum parameters ordinance. Since then, we had a call with Moody's, the rating agency, at which point Steve was giving a lot of good information as far as an update goes on what's going on in Northampton County. A few days later, we received the rating of a AA1, so it's basically confirming the rating that was on the past 2 transactions of the county. So again, AA1 is 1 notch below the absolute highest rating you can get of AAA. In between the 7th and the 10th, which is when we had the rating call and we received the rating, we received back the Underwriter RFPs. As you recall, as we did earlier in the year or late last year, we submitted or released RFPs out to various underwriting firms who are ultimately the individuals who would be selling the bonds, and asked them to give us proposals based on some qualitative and quantitative metrics, and received, I believe it was 6 responses, 6 or 7, and ultimately Janney Montgomery Scott came in with the lowest true interest cost. And again, served the county well in the past 2 transactions, so ultimately they were selected to serve as underwriter. We had a due diligence call with them on the 16th. We're preparing and finalizing the preliminary official statement, which is the offering document, for posting this week, and hoping to price the bonds Wednesday of next week, the 23rd, with settlement occurring, kind of the week of November 25th, if all goes well.
Okay.
Yeah.
John?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Garrett Moore, PFM.
Okay, I would just ask, maybe if you could take us through this, that like the average person might understand. So, if I recall correctly, maybe back, Mr. Heckman's boss borrowed $111 million back in 2001. So we're at a point, and then at some point, and I'll be real blunt, a couple of chumps decided to attach a swaption to it. That caused a significant loss of money, and then there was a refinancing back in, was it 2009? So now we're looking at refinancing this debt for essentially a third time. And of that 111 million that was originally borrowed back in 2001, we have approximately $75 million that remains. And that's the reason why we are where we are right now. That's where you came up with the 75 million.
So we're refunding approximately $60 million of principal. That's what's outstanding on the Series B of 2012, which is, again, what you're alluding to, where we're refunding was ultimately used to refund the series of 2001. The reason for the $75 million is to provide flexibility as far as pricing goes. We've discussed with Stephen how the county would like to realize the savings. And so the $75 million is kind of comprised of 2 pieces. The aggregate amount, of course, right, the total borrowing. And then each year, each maturity, we have to provide a maximum amount. So we have to provide cushion not in its entirety, but in each individual maturity, and so as to allow for pricing flexibility, as well as structuring flexibility. Again, what we showed you, I believe, on the 3rd was savings taken over the life of the issue. In talking with Stephen and others, it seems like we'd like to try and push the savings a little more upfront and take savings over the first 4 years, with the first 2 years being slightly more than the 3rd and 4th year.
And that balances out our payments and our debt. We also put into that an 8-year par call on them. So as opposed to locking the county in for 10 years, we're locking the county into this for 8 at a call option. And then that way, if the market changed and taxable or non-taxable bonds become ideal, we don't have to wait that 2 years to realize the savings on non-taxable bonds when the economy obviously changes.
Okay, so I'm just, this part about we only owe 60, but we're borrowing 75. I mean, I know people do that with their home, but can you maybe explain why we're doing it as a governmental body?
It gives us maximum flexibility on fees and all the other. It's basically the ceiling. We are only going to borrow what we need to close this out, to balance our debt out, and to make sure we can get the 8-year par call to give council and the future county leaders the ability to borrow money in the future if they need to, or to make sure that they can responsibly refinance debt in the future.
Okay, so you're not going to actually borrow the 75 million? Okay, so there's...
It's similar to, we did the same thing, right, earlier, I guess the end of 18, early 19. We had two different ordinances, one for the new money portion in the Series A of 19, and then one for the refinancing. And we ultimately ended up borrowing, I'm looking here at just a little over 23 million for the Series A, the new money. But I believe we had parameters in place for at least 25, maybe it was 27. I can go back and look. I don't have that at my fingertips right now.
Okay. So again, I'm thinking about this as a homeowner. When you think about refinancing, you look at what the interest rate is that you're paying. So what is the interest rate that we are currently paying on the 60 million in tax-free issuance that we did back in 2009?
They were issued with 5% coupons.
So they were issued at 5%, okay? Now, we want to refinance this, and what is the rate that we anticipate or hope to get?
So you're all in, again, each maturity has its own interest rate, right? But your blended all in is something
right.
Closer to 2.25.
2.25. So generally, the rule of thumb is if you're 2 points low, well, it depends how long you're going to live in the house, okay? I anticipate that we're going to, live in this house for a long time. So more than 2% generally is a good rule of thumb if you're going to live in the house for a significant amount of time. So that, to me, is fair. Now, if we take into account the fact that these bonds will be taxable, it's not quite as good, but we're still below 3% in a equivalency is what I'm...
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The reason we're doing it on a taxable basis is to be able to achieve the savings and take advantage of it, as opposed to waiting until next year or the year after to do it on a tax-exempt basis.
Okay. Now, generally, when you refinance your mortgage, you get a level debt unless you do an adjustable rate. I guess my question is, why didn't you just do a level issue rather than it appears you have a hump?
So that is the schedule that is in there now based on just there. We're going to try to eliminate that hump with the way we structure the debt. Part of that is because when we did the new bond issue that sort of fit over John Stoke was like the puzzle piece. This gives us the opportunity to make that more of a level payment. So we don't hit that bump in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what our ideal goal is, to level all that out.
Okay.
And this gives us the ability to take that savings in the first 4 years and make it such that it levels everything out, smooths out.
So I guess, the concern usually is that are we taking this savings up front while we're in office, potentially at the expense of some folks that may be sitting here down the road? And
We're leveling the payments out, and then we're taking the 8-year par call option so that there are better options in the future.
Okay. So I guess one of the things that you also consider is, when you do a refinance, it's going to cost you something up front. What is the cost of refinancing and doing this reissuance?
So as part of the RFP for underwriters, that's one of the questions we asked. Generally, what's known as the underwriter's discount, what they get paid on a per bond basis, that's generally the largest cost. So Janney, in their proposal, stated that they would do it for $4.04 per bond.
Okay, a little multiplication, and what does that come out to?
Yeah, based on the numbers we ran, assuming, call it a $65, $67 million total borrowing at the end of the day, that equates to about $270,000.
Okay, $270K for the cost?
And then we haven't reached out. There are other costs, for example, our costs, printing, legal costs, things of that nature. Again, we bid out through an RFP, same as last time, legal counsel. Ultimately, Dinsmore was selected, I believe, in their proposal.
29,100 or 200, I believe.
Something like that. So again, we haven't compiled all the other fees, but we're estimating the cost of issuance for everything else to be in the $120,000 range. Could come in lower.
Okay.
To try and err on the higher side, come in lower.
All right. So we're hoping that it'll be around 2.25. Are we putting a cap where we're saying that if we don't get this much, if the interest rate is too high, what are we putting it at? 3%?
The 3%, it's our cap. We're higher than that now. That is net of costs. So all those costs, we have to be above that 3% threshold after all the costs are taken out to make it worth our while. Does that?
On a savings.
On a savings.
Okay, but we want to, when we refinance this, we want our interest rate to be below 3%. Is that what I'm trying to, okay, so if we go from 5, I'm just trying to get this in a way that like an average homeowner might understand. So our goal here is to get from 5% down to 3% or less and incur, you know, 300,000 in
500,000.
of 5, okay, 3 and 2, yeah, so.
4, okay, take it down a notch, okay. You said 120,000 plus 270, that's 400,000 right there.
Okay, yeah, I forgot that. Oh, yeah, 120, so yeah, that's
We're looking at
for,
a half a mil somewhere, come on. You're the math
So
guy.
the true interest cost, which I think is what you're getting at,
Yeah.
is 2.15.
There you go.
Per the RFP.
Okay.
That's what Janney now, it could be a little bit higher based on when you close, a
Mhm.
little bit lower based on when you close. If we're anywhere near 2.5, I would be very, very surprised.
okay. So, you know, I think right now, what is the 10-year running at about 1.7 or 1.8? So I think that, you know, we're probably in the ballpark at this point, but,
About 1.75.
yeah. And it's a lot of money to spend, but I guess if we can get at least 2%, I think it's reasonable.
On the total number. And if you had mentioned that instead of 65 million, you'd gone to 75 million from the get-go, we wouldn't have these questions right away. No, just pointing out a strategy that you presented it one way, and then there was a $10 million bump that came in that we said, where'd that come from? So
Yeah.
flexible doesn't really, that's an interesting term, I like that.
There's a lot of paperwork here. I was wondering maybe if you could just take us through the ordinance and say this is what, this is why this is in it and the reasoning behind it, if you have it in front of you, or do you need a copy?
I have the ordinance. Right, so the ordinance is here.
If you have a second.
No, tomorrow, bond counsel will be here.
Okay.
And he might be better suited to go through that with you
Okay.
at county council.
You okay with that?
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Okay, because I don't want to misspeak or say something that is not correct.
You?
Sorry.
Thank you for your explanations. Further questions
No,
from
that's it.
anyone?
Thank
Is
you.
still on the phone? Anybody want any questions?
Questions on the phone?
Okay. There you go. They're still there. All right.
They're good.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Yes. We look forward to tomorrow. Okay. Oh wait,
I'm
there's
gonna
a
keep
question.
them to myself and figure it out. Because I think I heard everything.
All right, Tara has questions, but she's gonna keep them.
No. Well, no.
We're trying to hear you through this thing.
No, I think that I just need to like sit with the numbers and digest what was being said. So thank you.
And you can ask questions again tomorrow, Tara. The bond counsel will be here, so you'll be more effective.
What did Lamont say?
That was Bob.
Thank you.
I know it, they're easily,
Oh.
he said that they'll be here tomorrow, bond counsel, everybody will be here, and you can ask questions tomorrow.
That's what I figured. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your assistance. Okay, appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. 5 minutes before meetings, adjournment. I guess that's okay.
Second.
Thank you. And is Lori okay? She go home. Oh.
Tara and Kevin, we're taking a 5-minute break.
Does it have to shut off and recycle?
Bill's took her home.